Okay, so in the last talk, we were saying that this quality of sampajanya, quality of clear comprehension, clear insight into mental or physical nature, nature of the nama rupa. So this clear comprehension or clear insight, it does not arise in our practice just like that. You want it to arise, it arises. It doesn't arise like this. It's also anatta. So it follows its own conditioning. Okay? So it's conditioned. Anatta actually, you can say it's conditioned. Okay? So as a yogi, you need to work in order to establish all the necessary conditions before this quality of clear comprehension can arise. Okay? And one of these conditions is that you must clear away all the hindrances that obstruct the clarity of wisdom. Okay? So hindrances like sensual desire, ill will, restlessness and remorse, sloth and torpor, and wavering doubt. Okay? Yeah. So yogi must work to clear away these hindrances. Okay? So these 5 hindrances, sometimes in the suttas, they are called panyaya dubbalikarana. Okay? So this means they cause this wisdom to become weak. Okay? So dubbalikarana, cause to become weak. So cause wisdom to become weak, or sometimes they translate this as the weakness of wisdom. So these hindrances, they obstruct clear knowledge. Okay? They weaken clear knowledge. Okay? So that means they weaken the ability of the mind to be able to discern clearly nature, object. That is noted. So therefore, when they are present in the mind, you can try as hard as you can, try to discern nature, object that you are noting. You find that you are somehow unable to do so. These are the signs that somewhere in the mind there is hindrances are present. One or more of these hindrances are present. When they are present, you simply cannot penetrate through into the nature of the object. So, because behind them, behind these 5 hindrances is moha, quality of delusion. So, and this covers up the mind like the cataract of the mind. So when it's present, it's very difficult to penetrate through. So therefore, yogi must work very hard in order to clear away these 5 hindrances. Okay? And to do so, you need to develop samadhi, concentration. So the development of concentration. When concentration is developed, it helps to clear away these hindrances on the mind. The strength of samadhi, 5 hindrances can be put away. And once they are put away, the mind will be freed from obstruction to discernment. So that means it can settle very easily into the work of noting, nothing to obstruct it. And so it can settle very easily, and it can be established firmly and remain fixed and focused on each object that is noted. And then the yogi can begin to discern the nature of the object. So question is, and how to develop this samadhi. Now in Buddhist meditation, there are two approaches to the development of samadhi. So one is called the samatayana, vehicle or the approach of samatha, approach of tranquility, calm. So the other one is, of course, Vipassana yana, the vehicle of or approach of insight. So there are these two approach. Okay. The first one, samatayana. So a yogi who follow this approach. So first, they make use of any one of the 40 samatha objects that are listed in the Visuddhimagga, and also in various places in the suttas. They make use of any one of these samatha objects, such as the kasinas, or the Brahma Vihara, or the parts of the body, or recollection of the Buddha, and so on. So make use of any one of these objects according to what is suitable to one's temperament. You can choose, and you make use of it in order to develop the samatha jhanas. So either the upachara samadhi, excess concentration, or the appana samadhi, absorption concentration. So you just focus the mind on this object until the mind become concentrated on it with either excess concentration or absorption concentration. Absorption concentration, appana samadhi, means the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and so on. So once they have developed the samatha jhanas to their heart's content, they're satisfied already. They're satisfied that they have developed enough. So some may develop up to just upachara samadhi, then they feel it's enough already. Some may develop first jhana, then they feel it's enough already. Some may develop second or third or fourth, and so on. So once they feel satisfied, then they turn their attention to development of vipassana. So in order to develop vipassana, first they enter into whatever state of concentration that they have developed, and then they withdraw from that. And then immediately upon withdrawal, they turn their mind back onto the state of concentration, and then contemplate the mental and physical nature that is connected with that state of concentration, and discern clearly into the nature of impermanent suffering and non-self. So that's how they develop vipassana. Okay. So in this approach, the samatayana approach, so emphasis in the beginning is purely on samatha, on the development of state of samatha, a state of concentration, tranquility, calm, peacefulness. Okay? Then after that only, they switch to vipassana. Okay? So emphasis in the beginning is purely just on samatha. Okay? So you can say that the samatha yana, there are two different phases in their approach. The first phase is purely samatha. Second phase is vipassana. Okay. Excuse me. Then you come to vipassana yana, which is the approach that we take up over here. Okay. So now vipassana yana, this approach it straight away, without developing samatha, without developing any upachara samadhi or appana samadhi. So straight away the yogi who follow this approach, he or she will straight away proceed to the development of what is called khanika samadhi, momentary concentration. And he or she developed this khanika samadhi by immediately contemplating nature of the nama rupa, mental physical nature that arises within one's experience. Okay? So whether seeing, hearing, smelling, and so on. Okay? So we begin immediately by contemplating again and again nature and nama rupa that arise within experience. So as I contemplate this gradually, because there is some focus of mind as you contemplate each moment of experience. So gradually the khanika samadhi, this momentary concentration, becomes established. Okay? And as it becomes established, insight also becomes established and developed along with it. Okay? So in this second approach, vipassana yana approach, the emphasis throughout the practice is on vipassana, on the development of insight. Okay? Right from the beginning, the aim is to develop insight. Okay? But to develop insight, the yogi needs to direct the mind to contemplate nature of nama rupa. And as a result of that, because that when you turn your attention to contemplate, so you're developing mindfulness, right? So from the mindfulness, it comes this degree of concentration called khanika samadhi, which is also sufficient to put away the hindrances. Okay? Yeah. So this khanika samadhi arises even as the yogi is trying to develop insight by contemplating the nature of nama rupa. Okay, so it develops along with it, with the development of insight. But the emphasis throughout is always on the development of vipassana, development of insight. But this concentration, it develops along. Okay. Yeah. So this is unlike the samatha approach, where there is a very distinct phase where the yogi focus solely just on the development of concentration. And then after that, they switch over to the development of vipassana. Okay, right? In the vipassana approach, the direct vipassana approach, so throughout the yogi focus on the development of this vipassana. Okay? Now, so in Buddhist meditation, so a Buddhist yogi may choose to follow either one of this approach, depending on which is suitable and which one he likes. So now, even though we say there is a samatha approach and then there's the vipassana approach, so even as I explained it just now, you can see that one does not exclude the other. Okay? So when you choose the samatha approach, it does not mean that you just do samatha and you don't develop any vipassana. Right? So it includes also the development of vipassana. Similarly, in the vipassana yana also, just because you are focusing solely on the development of insight, vipassana, but as you develop vipassana, the samatha aspect of the practice are also developed along with it. Okay? So one does not exclude the other. Okay, it's just a matter of difference is just in a matter of the emphasis at the beginning of each approach. So in the case of samatha yana, in the beginning, emphasis is more on development of samatha. Then later on, then only they switch over to the development of vipassana. Whereas in the case of the vipassana yana, straight away, right from the beginning and throughout the development, and the emphasis is on vipassana. Yeah. But regardless of whether it is samatha approach or vipassana approach, finally, in both approach, finally, both the samatha aspect and the vipassana aspect must both come together. So, especially when you're developing insight, they must both come together, right? So, as we mentioned the other day, in every moment when you note the object, so both this samatha aspect as well as the vipassana aspect, they are present in each moment when you note the object. Even in the Satipatthana also, Satipatthana Sutta, Buddha says sati and sampajanya, these two qualities are present every moment when you note. Okay? Sati represents the samatha aspect. Sampajanya is the vipassana aspect. Okay? So these two aspects, the samatha and vipassana, they need to both work together in order for there, first of all, to be wisdom, and then also in order for the wisdom to mature enough, to become mature enough, in order for the mind to finally let go into wisdom, into freedom. Okay, so you need both this aspect every moment when you know. You need the samatha aspect to hold the mind steady, fixed on the object without being distracted. And then you need the vipassana aspect, which is the wisdom aspect, to explore deeper and deeper into the nature of the object. Okay? So with these two present, clear insight can arise, and this insight can develop, become more and more mature. Okay, so so which approach is better? Yeah. I would not say that one approach is better than the other. So, yeah, it really depends on the yogi. So, there's a reason why there are these two approaches. Why the Buddha taught these two different approaches. Okay? Because suitable for different people. Yeah. Yeah, but personally, of course, I would prefer the Vipassana approach. So, why? Because it's more direct. Yeah, Vipassana approach. It goes straight into business, development of insight. Right? So, so in Vipassana, it's very direct. Straight away you jump into what matters most. That is the development of insight. And this is more important because finally it is wisdom that liberates the mind, right, from suffering in samsara. So samatha only supports. Okay, but finally, you need this cultivation of wisdom. This wisdom that cuts into the root of attachment, into the cause of suffering, digs it up. Okay? And the approach of Vipassana, it goes straight into this. Okay? So it doesn't go through the long way of having to spend a lot of time with the development of samatha. Because development of samatha can take a very long time. And you need a very suitable location, a place where you cannot be disturbed at all. Because even a little bit sound can disturb the development of samatha. This is sound is a thorn to the jhanas. So it takes a long time to develop. And then on top of that, after that, when you switch to Vipassana, it takes another period of time in order to develop Vipassana. Okay? So it takes time. Okay? And as we know, also sometimes yogis who have indulged a lot in samatha, then they find it also difficult to switch to Vipassana. So, because samatha, especially going to the deep state of jhana, is so nice, so peaceful, so wonderful. Everything is still. So, and then when you switch to Vipassana, everything is chaotic. So if you are used to that, you don't like Vipassana. It's like everything is chaotic, jumping. So sometimes yogis may have problem also here in switching from samatha to Vipassana. So whereas you jump straight into Vipassana. So straight away you get into the business of development of insight. Okay? And in our experience dealing with so many yogis, so we found that actually if the yogi is willing to work hard, put in the necessary effort, to strive diligently, applying the basic instruction diligently with faith, so and develop the practice continuously in a retreat. Okay? So in a matter of sometimes 10 days, some even 7 days. So some 10 days, some 14 days, 2 weeks. It is possible for yogi, but you must work very hard. So it is possible to experience at least the first few lower insights, at least. Some may experience higher than that also. So, so in a matter of just 1 to 2 weeks, it is possible to experience some degree of vipassana, a clear insight into the nature of nama rupa. Okay, so that means within that period, 1 to 2 weeks, you gain some benefit from your practice. At least you can discern clearly this nature of nama rupa. Okay, so this is in the case of beginners. Okay, so those yogis who have more experience, those who have come for several retreats before, especially some yogis who have come for so many retreats throughout the year. So they've been developing their practice continuously, persistently from one retreat to another. So they may even possible for them within that short period to experience even deeper insight than that. Okay? Depending on how skillful they are and how much they develop their practice. Okay? Some yogis, within a few days, they can bring their mind into very deep vipassana samadhi and experience deep insight, even up to sankarupeka. So within that short period of time, it is possible for yogis, who follow the approach of vipassana to get this benefit of the practice. Whereas the samatha approach, it takes a longer time. So develop samatha. So, and you need a very suitable place. Place that is very, very quiet. You have to go deep into the forest, or into a mountain cave, somewhere where nobody can disturb you. Nowadays, it's very difficult to find such places. So, whereas vipassana doesn't matter, even near a mosque also can. So they do their chanting, you're just not hearing. You see? So it takes a long time. So since most yogis today don't have much time, right? How long can you commit in a year? The practice. Most people who are still working, how much leave can you apply? 2 weeks. 2 weeks is already very good, right? So since you have not much time, so the vipassana approach is much more suitable, right? So at least you get some benefit at the end of the 1 or 2 weeks of retreat. Benefit of clarity of wisdom, this and clearly nature of the nama rupa. You get some clear understanding. And for most yogis, we find most yogis, because they are very good Buddhists, so most Buddhists, their defilements are not so strong. So I would like to believe. So, so because the defilements are not that strong, so the direct approach, the direct vipassana approach of contemplating the nature of the nama rupa in order to develop kanika samadhi. This approach is sufficient enough to clear away the hindrances. So through the development of kanika samadhi, by contemplating nature of nama rupa. If your defilements is not strong, this approach, this kanika samadhi that is developed, this is usually sufficient in order to put away the hindrances sufficiently in order to develop clear insight into the nature of nama rupa. Okay? So for most yogis, the defilements is not strong. So the samatha approach is not necessary. Okay? However, in some extreme cases, when the defilements is very strong, then the yogi may need a stronger medicine. Then maybe some of the samatha exercises may be beneficial before taking up vipassana. So, for example, a person who is very prone to anger easily becomes angry. So, easily becomes agitated. Every little thing, he becomes agitated. So, mosquito come, so far away, he hear already agitated. So what more when he touches it, he loses his mind. So easy to get agitated. Sit down and see this yogi. This one last time he did this to me. Angry. So come to the meditation center. Why the fan so fast? Why they close all the windows? Why this? Why that? Why the bed is so hard? Why the food is like that? Every little thing you get angry. So easy to get angry. Then you need a stronger medicine. So you need metta. So cultivate metta. So in order to restrain this very strong, powerful anger. So otherwise the mind cannot settle down. So in this case, the direct approach, noting anger cannot work because the root of the defilement, the root of anger too strong. So you need stronger medicine. Some yogis, the root of attachment, very strong. So sit down, start thinking, how's my children doing? Even though the children is all grown up already, can very well take care of themselves, but still, how is my children doing? So I miss my wife, I miss my husband. Some men, some yogis, I sit down, I think, I miss my wife's cooking. So very strong attachment. Some are very attached to the body. So you need to contemplate the loathsome aspect of the body. So you can take pictures of the dead corpse. See the corpse are all bloated out, the skin all blue-black, with all the fluid oozing out from all the different apertures, from the nose, from the eye, from the mouth, everywhere. So you look at this again and again until the picture sinks into you, then you no longer have attachment to this disgusting body. So you have some attached to food. So you contemplate loathsomeness of food. Every time you go to the toilet, you look at the end result of the food. Look until it sinks in, and no longer have attachment to food. So in the case of very strong defilements, so some of this samatha contemplation may be beneficial before taking up vipassana. But either way, whether you choose the samatha approach or the direct vipassana approach, so regardless, both both approaches. Finally, the yogi arrive at the state of mind called Chitta Visuddhi. That is purity of mind. Okay, so this is a state of mind or condition of mind where the mind becomes completely freed from the hindrances, from all the mental impurities. So the mind becomes perfectly pure and clean. So when it's pure and clean, then it's able to discern clearly whatever object it notes. Okay. So regardless of which approach, whether you approach through samatha way or through direct vipassana way, finally the yogi arrive at the state of Chitta Visuddhi. It is very pure and clean and wholesome state of consciousness occur continuously without any mental impurities. Okay, so here I'll explain a little bit on how this method, through the approach of this Vipassana yana, how the yogi can arrive at this state of Chitta Visuddhi. So we must start by noting primary object. So in the beginning, you must limit the mind down to just a few objects. Okay, so limit the mind down to noting just the primary object. Okay, so you spend most of your time noting the primary object. You anchor your attention on the primary object. Okay, whether it is rising, falling, whether it is sitting, touching, or in the walking meditation, contemplation of the process of walking, lifting, pushing, placing. So you anchor your mind on this primary object. Okay? Note it continuously, rising, falling continuously. Don't let the mind run frequently to the secondary objects. Okay, so the secondary objects. So as we described earlier, when we explained the basic instruction, so you only note them when it is absolutely necessary. Okay? In the case of sound and bodily sensation, you only note them when they are very prominent. Yeah, that means when immediately they arise, they are so strong and prominent that immediately it pulls your attention away from the primary object. And then only you note. Otherwise, you ignore. Right? So the sound, for example, right now, so the sound of the raindrops outside, it doesn't pull your attention. Right? You're noting rising, falling. You can still stay with rising, falling. It doesn't distract your attention. So you ignore. Ignore totally. The sound of the insect you can hear in the background. It's so soft. So you ignore. Don't care. Stay with the rising, falling. Anchor your attention on the primary object. Don't let it be distracted to these weak objects. Sensation in the body is also. So if it is just very mild discomfort, it doesn't attract your attention very much, ignore it. Okay? Just stay with the primary object. Okay? But if right now suddenly thunder strike, then immediately you have no choice in it. Unless your concentration at that time is really, really very strong. Usually it's not that strong. Very loud thunder, your mind will immediately be pulled away. So in that case, you note hearing. If your heart jump, you must not jumping. So you get, when your heart jump, there's this feeling, maybe discomfort or pain, that you must not pain. When all this disappear, then again go back, rising, falling. So same with sensation in the body. When it is really very prominent, very strong pain, then you turn your attention to not. Okay? Otherwise, you ignore. Okay? A little bit mosquito bite, sometimes you can even ignore if your concentration is strong. So, so only when it's really very strong, very prominent, it pulls your attention, then you know. Otherwise, you continue to anchor your attention on the primary object. In the case of the wandering mind, and also the states of mind, unwholesome states of mind, like the hindrances, sensual desire, ill will, sleepiness, and all this. So in this case, you must not. When they arise, you must not, because this state of mind, they are immediately a distraction. Like wandering mind. The moment the mind wanders, that means it's no longer on the primary object. It is already distracted. So immediately you must not. When a desire arise in the mind, it's not known until it disappear, and then you return attention to the primary object. So you anchor your attention on the primary object. You stay with the primary object most of the time. Okay? In this way, you limit down the number of objects. Okay? Because if there's too many objects in the beginning, chances are you end up being restless. Because in the beginning, you see, mindfulness is not strong yet. So when the mindfulness is not strong, when you note the object, it cannot exercise its nature of establishing firmly on the object. Okay? So it cannot establish firmly enough. Okay? So it doesn't have that strength yet. Okay? So it doesn't have the strength yet. You try to take this object and then that object and that object, so many objects. It cannot establish well on the object. After a few objects, chances are you will be distracted. It cannot stay on track. So that's why it's better just to limit it down to rising, falling. Just stay with it. Then the mindfulness, even weak also, it can stay continuously. Rather than take this object, take that object, then the mind get thrown out, thrown off track. Okay. If the mindfulness is already strong, then you can do that. You can take this object, take that object. Like when you do Dhamma, whatever nature arises, not one after another. When the mindfulness is strong, it establishes every single moment and every single nature that it notes. Okay? It stays on track. Okay? But not when the mindfulness is still weak. So when it's still weak, limit it down. Just the primary object most of the time. This is better for the development of mindfulness. This is better. And the primary object also must be something simple, easy to follow. So rising, falling is very simple. Right? Nothing complicated about it. So when it's easy, it's a simple object, it's easier to follow. So, and it should also be, primary object should also be gross instead of subtle. Gross, so that the mind can discern it easily. Okay, it's subtle, like the consciousness is so subtle, your mindfulness not strong enough yet. You cannot establish firmly on such a subtle object. So again and again, it falls away. So but gross object, like connected with the physical body, like rising, falling, it's easier to discern. So it's easier to discern. The mindfulness can hold on to it more easily, so it can follow it more continuously. So you try to take object that is subtle, mind cannot hold on to it, then you find it wanders off very easily. So you start with noting, you start noting with this limited number of objects, and the object should be gross object, simple object. Simple, so that the mind can sink into it more easily, flow with it. So all the primary object like rising, falling is suitable, because rising, falling, it is a gross object. So it's simple. Okay, so easy to follow. So, and it's just one object like this, up and down, up and down. So sitting, touching also can be suitable. Okay, so and the walking meditation, of course, the steps also is very simple and gross, easy to follow. So you start with this object, and then you make effort to apply the basic method, basic instruction that we described, and try to note it continuously. So you have to make effort in the beginning to note, to follow continuously. Every time rising occur, make effort, bring the attention to the rising. Stick with it, flow with it, feel it continuously from beginning to the end, rising, 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 right to the end. Falling also continuously from beginning to the end. So you make effort to follow, rising, falling, rising, falling, rising, falling, again and again and again. You follow, you make effort. You must make effort in the beginning. Don't expect that you sit down, meditation goes on by itself. It won't go on by itself. You sit in a car, does the car drive by itself? No, you have to make effort, step on the accelerator. Then the car will move. So you make effort in this way. But regardless of your effort, initially the hindrances, they are bound to arise. So if it's not restlessness, if it's not restless wandering, your mind is sleepy. If it's not sleepy, mind is lazy, don't want to do anything. Especially now, these few days, weather so nice, so cool. Sometimes in the morning, so wonderful, sleepy. Let's not note. Let's just rest in this state. Aversion may arise, or agitation may arise, desire may arise. So hindrances may arise. Despite your best effort, not continuously. So, and when they arise, they hinder the development of meditation. They ruin the development of meditation. Okay? So long as these hindrances remain, you allow it to remain, your meditation will remain disrupted. Okay? So you allow it to remain for 1 minute, your meditation is disrupted for 1 minute. You remain for 2 minutes, you're disrupted for 2 minutes. You let it remain for 5 minutes. So throughout that time, no meditation going on, it's disrupted. So you should not let it remain. In the beginning, it's very difficult. So in the beginning, some yogis don't even know that the hindrances are present. So they let it remain. Sometimes for the whole duration of the sitting or the walking, it remains. Thinking all these wonderful thoughts. Some yogis sit there and then they think all these wonderful Dhamma thoughts. And they say, this is meditation. Thinking about Dhamma. This is hindrances. Even thinking about Dhamma is still a hindrance. So you have to make effort to note and dispel these hindrances as soon as they arise. So when we said note and dispel, dispel doesn't mean you forcefully cut them off. You dispel them by means of noting. So simply by putting all the effort into noting, you dispel these hindrances. Okay? So, for example, desire arise, sensual desire arise. So you put all your effort into noting the sensual desire. So that means you note wholeheartedly. Okay? All your mental energy goes into the noting of the sensual desire. So when all the energy goes there, there's no more energy left for the desire. So then naturally, it will become weakened and then disintegrate and disappear. So simply by noting desire, 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 if you are really noting it properly, wholeheartedly, you'll see immediately it disintegrate. It will disappear. Okay? But if you are noting half-heartedly, sleepiness arise, sleepy, but at the back of the mind, very nice. That one, you're still feeding into the sleepiness. Then, of course, it will go on. So you have to note. In order to dispel, that means not wholeheartedly put all the effort into being aware of the state, whatever state of hindrances arise. Okay? Put your effort into it. If desire, be fully aware of the state of desire. If it's ill will, aversion, be fully aware that there is this state of aversion. Okay? Don't get involved. When you get involved with the aversion, then you feed into the aversion. Okay? So you pull out completely, put all the effort into the noting. Then they will disappear by itself. You don't have to push them away. You don't have to forcefully cut them off. Okay? Yeah. So you have to make effort to note and dispel as soon as it arises. As the longer it is allowed to remain, the hindrances become stronger and stronger. So therefore the yogis have to be very alert to know as soon as hindrances arise. Immediately you must note in a way to dispel them. So, yeah. But to do so, you also need to recognize that the hindrances are present. Only if you can recognize it, then you can immediately note. So, if you don't recognize, then you let it go on. Some yogis, they have all this aversion going on, noting pain, for example. Pain, the mind becoming tense, more and more tense, more and more agitated, but still pain. So then the mind become more and more tense. These are all the signs telling you that the hindrances are present. The mind is no longer pure, no longer wholesome. Remember, quality of wholesome mind? Softness, peacefulness, clarity. So when the mind so tense, so agitated, it's no longer soft, no longer peaceful, no longer clear. So that's a sign the hindrances are present. So we must check what hindrance is present and note. So, so with repeated effort to note and dispel the hindrances each time they arise, and then to return the attention again and again to the primary object. If you do this again and again, gradually the strength of the noting mind builds up, the strength of the mindfulness builds up. And as it builds up, when the mindfulness becomes stronger and stronger, it becomes more and more better and better able to establish the mind firmly on each object that is noted. Then you find the mind becomes less and less distracted. There's less and less wandering of the mind. So eventually, all the restless wandering ceases altogether as the yogi keeps noting again and again. So the restless wandering ceases. At some point, it ceases completely. Instead, every moment of noting it's falling on the object that is noted. It's keep falling again and again on the object that is noted. Each time noting occurs, it just falls directly into the object, as if the noting mind is being thrown into the object. This is the force of the samadhi that is being developed. So, so when this happens, when the yogi find that every time noting occurs, the noting mind is plunging into the object again and again. This is when you can say that the Kanika Samadhi has been established. This moment to moment, momentary concentration has been established. Every moment you note, the noting mind dives into the object. Okay, there's a strength in that noting. Okay, so. And as this momentary concentration, you continue to note, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. So the noting mind becomes stronger and stronger until a time when you feel, the yogi can feel that the mind becomes exclusively pure. Because each moment when you note and there's this focus on the object, there's this Kanika Samadhi. And that moment is a moment of purity. The mind is pure. So when the Kanika Samadhi becomes stronger and stronger, at some point the yogi can feel that the mind is continuously pure. It becomes exclusively pure. So each moment of noting is a pure state of mind. And each pure noting mind is preceded and succeeded by another pure noting mind. So the pure noting mind occurs continuously without any gaps. Okay? So, and so at this point, the yogi can feel that the mind remain continuously pure, continuously clean. So some yogis can discern this very clearly. Some yogis have even reported during the interview, I feel my mind becomes so clean. There's not even a little stain in the mind. It's so exclusively pure. So so this continuous process, pure noting consciousness, flows on continuously, one moment after another, noting one object after another, rising, falling by falling, then rising, then falling, So continuously, it is noting. So, and this pure noting mind goes on without a break, without a gap. Okay. So there's no, when this happens, so no impure thoughts, no unwholesome thoughts can intervene in between, because there's a momentum of this pure noting mind. So no unwholesome thoughts is able to intervene in between. So there's just this flow of pure, wholesome noting mind going on and on and on. So this is called Chitta Visuddhi, the state of purity of mind, where the mind becomes exclusively pure. It's like it's just come out from the washing machine. So, yeah. So prior to this, the yogi find that the mind is not totally pure. Before this state of Chitta Visuddhi occurs, yogi realize very clearly the mind is not always pure. Unwholesome thoughts keep intervening in between. All kinds of unwholesome thoughts, desire, aversion, wavering doubt, and so on, keeps intervening between pure noting. So the pure noting before that is mixed up with many impure consciousness. Okay. But once the strength of the Kanika Samadhi is developed, the noting becomes efficient. It flows with momentum. It has this strength of continuity. So the impure thoughts unable to intervene in between, cannot intrude into the mind. So only pure noting mind occur continuously, fixing the mind again and again on each object that is noted. So the mind completely pure, unpolluted. Okay? No pollution of mind. Yeah. But how long can this last? So for Vipassana, direct Vipassana yogi, unfortunately, in the beginning, it does not last very long. So it may last for maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe. So, but eventually it get interrupted. Okay. Some yogis only 5 minutes or so. So in the beginning it's like this. So in the beginning, because it's not strong enough yet to last, like samatha, the jhanas, it can last a whole day and night. But for this vipassana kanika samadhi, in the beginning it will usually not last very long. Okay? Later on it will last. Develop it sufficiently. It can last quite long also, especially when it comes to Sankharopeka jnana. It's a very stable, mature state of insight. And the mind becomes very, very steady, perfectly equanimous. Then this concentration can last very long, even hours. It can last. So right in the beginning, not so, it doesn't last very long. So it will last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. After a while, you get interrupted. But within that period of time, the mind remain pure, remain continuously pure. So this is the state of Chitta Visuddhi. So, and within, when the yogi enter into this continuous state of purity, within that state of purity, clear insight can arise. It is within that state of purity that the mind is able to discern very clearly the nature of nama rupa that is present with each object noted. So once this Kanika Samadhi is established, then it becomes possible to develop insight. Only when this Kanika Samadhi is established, not without Kanika Samadhi. Okay, so in the Mahatika, the commentary to the Visuddhimagga, it says, Nahi Kanika Samadhi Vina Vipassana Sambhavati. Okay, so this means that Vipassana insight does not arise, cannot be produced in the absence of Kanika Samadhi. So Kanika Samadhi is necessary for development of insight. Okay, so this is true even for those who follow the Samatayana approach. So when they switch over to develop Vipassana, so they must withdraw from the Samatha jhanas, okay, and contemplate the Nama Rupa. So when they contemplate the Nama Rupa, with what concentration? That they fix the mind on the Nama Rupa. They fix the mind on the Nama Rupa with Kanika Samadhi, not with jhana. In jhana, you cannot discern the nature of Nama Rupa. So only with Kanika Samadhi, you can discern the nature of Nama Rupa. Okay? So we will discuss more about Kanika Samadhi in the next talk. Okay, so we stop here today. Okay, there's question in the chat. So, Bante, I wonder if you can refer to a specific sutta that the Buddha talked about Kanika Samadhi. Yeah, I'll do that in the coming talks. Okay? So is Kanika Samadhi created by Venerable Buddha Dosa, not Buddha Dosa, Buddha Ghosa. Dosa is anger. He's angry at the Buddha Dosa. Venerable Buddha Ghosa in Visuddhimagga. No, it's not. Whatever is mentioned in the Visuddhimagga, it is actually, Visuddhimagga is like a record of the experience of all these ancient Buddhist yogis. So Venerable Buddha Ghosa simply compiling all these records when he wrote the Visuddhimagga. Okay, so he didn't create this Kanika Samadhi. So it can be found in the suttas. Okay, so it is not the word of the Buddha, but the word of Buddha Ghosa, which was created 1,000 years after the Buddha entered into Parinibbana. Please confirm. Yeah, it's not created by Venerable Buddha Ghosa. Okay, this idea of Kanika Samadhi. Okay? So it can be found. But again, you need to know what to look for. So if you, that's how you say, if you look for things literally, you cannot find. Just like Vipassana, you can look literally in the suttas. Most of the time you cannot find. Although Vipassana actually is mentioned in the suttas. Yeah, but for example, in the Yuganada Sutta, Vipassana Pubbangama Samatha, Samatha Pubbangama Vipassana, and so on. Okay, so it's mentioned. But most of the time when the Buddha describes Vipassana, he don't mention this word Vipassana. He described it. Contemplation, rupa, anicca. So materiality is impermanent. So there's insight into impermanent. That's Vipassana. So actually Vipassana is all over in the suttas. Okay, so Kanika Samadhi also. So, yeah. So sometimes you see things are described by the Buddha, okay? But Buddha don't give it a name. Okay? So, but in the commentary, because the commentary, the job of the commentary is to explain things more clearly. Okay? So one way that it does this is by giving names to things. Okay? So the Buddha described this, then they identify this is what should you call this? So that's easier instead of so like Vipassana. So you just use the word Vipassana, define what is Vipassana, then everybody understand. Oh, Vipassana means discerning nature of impermanent suffering, non-self. So instead of every time you have to say, you discern anicca, dukkha, anatta again and again. Every time you have to say, discern anicca, dukkha, anatta. Easier to just say vipassana. Right? One word represents this. It's easier to explain more clearly. Right? Yeah. So another example I can think of is upachara samadhi. Access concentration. You can look in the suttas, you will not find this word upachara samadhi. So, but it is described in the suttas, upachara samadhi. So, Buddha did describe before the yogi enter into the first jhana, which is the absorption concentration. Even before he enter into that, the 5 hindrances has already been put away, cleared away. Right? So there must be some degree of concentration present then. Otherwise, the hindrances cannot be put away. Okay, so the Buddha just mentioned that the hindrances put away. Right? Then after that only he said the yogi absorb into the first jhana. Okay? So what is that concentration before? The Buddha did not give it a name. Right? So, but in the commentary, they give this a name. This is upachara samadhi. It's the access, concentration, access to the first jhana. That's why you must know what. You must understand what are all these things. What is vipassana? What is kanika samadhi? What is upachara samadhi? You must know the definition clearly. Then when you look at the sutta, you can tell whether they are there or not. Right? That's why the commentary are important. Sometimes they define all these things clearly. Then you know what to look out for. Okay, so one thing you say vipassana way is a shortcut for attaining vimutti. Yeah, shortcut are not depend on you. Yeah. Some people may spend a long time also stuck in vipassana. So, yeah, but it does bypass the development of samatha. So in this sense, you can say it's a shortcut. In the sense that you don't have to spend a long time developing samatha. You can proceed straight away to the development of insight. In this sense, it is a shortcut. I prefer to call it a more direct approach. It goes straight down to business. Could you please confirm that you do not need jhana to reach Sotapanna, Sagadagami, Anagami, and Arahantship? At each of the Aryanship, you mean yogi does not need jhana? Yeah, this can be discerned also in some of the suttas. Okay, so yeah, there are some of these arahants they are described in the suttas. And in the commentary, they call this Tao Arahants the dry insight Arahants. Okay? So that means they're totally without any jhanas. Okay? So that's why it's called dry insight. They lack the moisture of the jhana. Bhante, how beneficial is it to study Visuddhimagga? If you have a good teacher to guide you, actually you don't have to study anything. It just depends on the teacher. Okay? So now Visuddhimagga, I don't know about other people, but last time, this is a very, very long time ago, even before I ordained. So when I read the Visuddhimagga in translation, not in the original Pali, so I found that there are many parts of the Visuddhimagga that is very inspirational because it speaks to you directly. If you have practiced, it speaks to you directly. Okay, and it clarifies many aspects of your practice. Okay? So to me, it was kind of beneficial in this sense. So, but at the same time, I also know many people who tell me that Bhante, we cannot make head and tail of Visuddhimagga at all. They read it, they become more confused. So, so sometimes it needs the teacher to explain to you. Okay, so and Visuddhimagga tends to be very, very detailed. So, and you can get lost in it, and become very, very confused. So that's why you need to study with the guide of a teacher. Okay, so if you have some background in the practice before, especially if you have experienced to a certain degree some of the insight knowledges before, then some parts of the Visuddhimagga will make more sense to you. So even if you don't really study the Abhidhamma, it may still make sense to you. Okay, so when I first read the Visuddhimagga, I wasn't really I haven't really studied much of the Abhidhamma. I did study a little bit, but not that much yet. So, so, but for others, you want to study Visuddhimagga, you need to have some basic knowledge of the Abhidhamma, especially the Panya Bhumi. So the section where I talk about the Panya Bhumi, what's the translation? Bhumi is the ground of wisdom. And I think in Venerable Nyanamoli's translation, I think he translated as the soil of understanding, right? Soil of understanding, yeah. So it basically refers to the object that you contemplate in order to develop wisdom, insight, wisdom. So that part they explain very detailed. The 5 aggregates, the 6 senses, 4 noble truths, dependent origination. The most comprehensive explanation of dependent origination can be found in the Visuddhimagga, where they explain it together with the Patthana. This is the most comprehensive explanation and also the most difficult text to read. So, you You can spend 1 month studying it. Last time I think we did that in Burma. Yeah, almost 1 month we spent in Burma studying this section on dependent origination with Sayadaw Unandamala. So even then, we didn't really completely cover it. The last part we had to skim through very, very fast. Not enough time to finish. So and we study every day, almost every day. Lectures in the morning, lectures in the afternoon. So still we cannot finish. So you were there. So yeah. It can be very beneficial, but you have to be very patient to go through it. So yeah. Yeah. But you find it confusing, then you better find a good teacher and then just practice. Practice is better. After you have practiced sufficiently, then you may go back and read again. Bhante, when observing the chest rising and falling, it becomes more and more subtle and cannot feel the rising falling anymore. Is it, do I need to purposely breathe in harder to invoke the rising and falling of the chest? No. Yeah. So we mentioned during when we discussed the basic instruction, you breathe naturally. Don't force the breathing. Okay? So you find that the rising, falling becoming difficult to discern, then you switch to not sitting, touching. Okay? Yeah. Don't wait for it to become clear. Immediately switch your attention. Change your primary object to not sitting, touching. You can note it continuously. Okay? And you're not sitting, touching. Sometimes the rising, falling may become clear again. Then you can go back and note the rising, falling. Bhante, how do I know the mind is pure? You will know when it is pure. So it's a very stark contrast to your everyday mind. Yeah. You know when you are wearing a clean cloth, when you are wearing a clean shirt and when you are wearing a dirty shirt? You know, right? So similarly, you will know when the mind is pure and when the mind is impure. This question is the same as the one before this. Bhante, while noting rising, falling, and as time passed, there will come a time when I become very calm and still, so much so that I couldn't feel the breath. I could not feel the primary object nor the secondary object. What should I do next? Okay, so yeah. So this could be a sign that the mind too much samadhi. Okay. Yeah. So when concentration is too strong, the mind can become still, too still. And when it becomes too still, it doesn't actively note the object. It just rests there in the object. Okay. So yeah. So that's why the rising, falling after a while also becomes more and more subtle and difficult to discern. Okay. So you need to activate the noting mind. Okay. So so you follow what we mentioned just now. Switch to the sitting, touching as your primary object. Okay? And note the sitting, touching. Note it vigorously. Okay? You're not sitting. You're not sitting. Put effort into every noting. Okay? Make sure in every noting you exert the mind to feel clearly the sitting, the sensation connected with the sitting posture. Okay, when you're not touching also, same way, put effort into every noting so that you can feel the sensation of the touching clearly. So you're not firmly, okay, and not vigorously. Increase the noting, not touching. Okay, sitting also, sitting, increase. So you activate the mind, you make the mind work so that the mind become active again. You bring up the energy, then it will balance up the samadhi. Okay. All right. So that's all the question we have tonight. Okay. So we'll conclude here, sharing merits. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Buddham Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Dhammam Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Sangham Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Mata Pitunam Pujemi. Imaya Dhammanu Dhamma Patipatiya Acariyanam Pujemi. Adha Imaya Patipadaya Jaram Ranamha Rimocesami. Idame Punyam Asawakaya Vaham Hotu. Idame Punyam Nibbanasa Pacayo Hotu. Idame Silam Magaphalanyanasa Pacayo Hotu. Imam no Punyabhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Imam no Punyabhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Imam no Punyabhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So may all of you be well, happy and peaceful always. May you remain healthy, safe and strong. May you all be able to practice Dhamma continuously without any obstacle, practice smoothly, without any troubles. And may you all be able to experience the unconditioned peace of Nibbana through your practice of the Dhamma.